Hello, good morning. Yesterday, last lecture was based over the our introduction to the first unit syllabus. Now, also we learn about what is digital signal processing, and after that, we learn what are the advantages of digital signal processing over the analog signal processing. Now, to continue the last point here, we are going for the next one point is that the comparison. Wait. Last point was advantages of digital signal processing over the analog signal processing. Okay. Now this point was covered. Now hope you are watching the slides. Okay, in these slides, I have given a brief summary about advantages and limitations of digital signal processing. Okay, total 5 points are given. First is when you choose any digital signal processing, it should have higher accuracy. Now, question is what is meant by accuracy? How you can determine the accuracy? The accuracy of analog signal filter is affected by the tolerance of the circuit component used for design of filter, but DSP has superior control of accuracy. Now, when you think about the analog signal processing, then in terms of analog signal processing, the electronic components are coming picture. These electronic components are resistor, capacitor, and inductor. Now, when you design any signal processing circuit with the help of these component, then their accuracy will not be high. But in terms of digital component, if you are going for design of the processor or processing, then it has superior quality of accuracy. So this is the biggest advantage of digital signal processing. Second one, in terms of analog signal processing, when you choose this component, then the values of R, L, and C component will varies. As it varies, the cost is also important. So the second one advantage is cheaper. Whatever digital signal system which we realize that will be cheaper as compared to the analog realization in many applications. Third one is flexibility in configuration. Means here you can find greater flexibility in the design. For reconfiguring an analog system, we can only do it by redesign of system hardware, whereas a DSP system can be easily configured only by changing the program. Okay, so once you design a system, if you need any kind of modification in that system, then only change of program is needed. You don't need to change the internal resistive or internal logic circuitries or the different processing components. So here, this is the main advantage you can look with DSP system. You can find greater flexibility in the configurations as compared to analog system. Similarly, analog data you cannot store. To store the analog data, it require, in earlier day we use old tape recorder or video CDs. Okay, just if you think about that, then only few amount of data you can able to store with the help of that. But now, with the help of our digital storage devices like RAM, ROM, EEPROM, secondary memories like hard disks, because of that, you can able to store bulk amount of data. Okay, so as compared to magnetic memory, here the digital storage devices are now preferred. Okay, so here you can find the next advantage is ease of data storage. On magnetic media, without the loss of fidelity, the digital signal can be stored and can be processed offline in a remote laboratory. Okay, this is a fourth advantage. Now, fifth, time sharing. Now, the cost of processing signal can be reduced in DSP by sharing of a given processor among a number of signal. Okay, so here whatever signal which we have to process, you can able to reduce the signal processing time. Okay, you can share that data among number of processors. Okay, so that's why here the time sharing will be also one of the advantage that you find with DSP. Similarly, here you can find some limitations. These limitations are system complexity. Obviously, when we talk about the digital signal processing, the DSP systems are complex, as I already told you in the last lecture. Generally, here you can find the system will be complex, and due to that complexity, we say the earlier microprocessor and microcontroller systems are now obsoleted. When now you can say these are used for simple application, means you can say they are specifically designed for a specific application. But when you have to do complex operations, then for complex operations point of view, here you can find a digital signal processor. But along with this complexity, here you can find our system will becomes complex. Now the question arises, why the system will becomes complex? The external things that you find along with the DSP is analog to digital converter and digital to analog converter, due to which the complexity will increases. Okay, similarly the reconstruction filter will also contribute for system complexity. Most of the cases we need to filter some amount of signal. Okay, now the filter concept we are going to learn under second one unit. Okay, now the designing of filter means here we have to pass a specified amount of the frequency signal and stop the unwanted frequency signal. So that's why while designing of that filter, here we will find the complexity in the design of that filter. So that's why this point will comes under the limitations. Now, second one limitation comes here is power consumption. Power consumption is arises because of the DSP chip. Okay, this processor chip carries near about 4 lakhs of transistors, which will dissipate highest amount of power near about 1 watt. Approximately 1 watt power will be consumed with the help of that internal components. Okay, whereas analog signal processing include only passive components like resistor, capacitor and inductor, which will lead to only low power dissipation. Okay, now here if you think about the limitation of this digital signal processor, then these limitations are minor as compared to the advantages offered by the DSP systems. Okay, so that's why here, because of these advantages, nowadays these DSP systems are most popular in our day-to-day life. Okay, now next one point is now we are starting our main point is discrete time signal. Now already we learn about the discrete time signal and its representation, but briefly I am showing you because here some new students may join in our lecture. Okay, so that's why they are not aware with that signal processing. Okay, because you are coming under the new curriculum and some students are coming from the old curriculum. So that's why there may be some difference. So that's why I am giving a brief review about the discrete time signal. So that's why here, first of all, we discuss what is discrete signal. Okay, so here discrete signal is a function of independent variable. These independent variable are divided into equal number of intervals and each interval is represented by an integer. Now these discrete signal are represented on our coordinate system. So here you can find on x-axis there is a time and on y-axis there is an amplitude. So that's why this amplitude will be represented by some integer value and the time is represented by its interval. Now that interval is equidistance or non-equidistance. It will be dependent. Okay. So that's why here, uh, as per the definition of this discrete signal is it is a function of independent variable. These independent variable are divided into equal number of interval and each equal interval is represented by an integer. That integer value may changes, that is time value may changes. Okay, now the basic definition of discrete time signal is here when the independent variable is time, then the discrete signal is called discrete time signal. Obviously, as per our previous definition of discrete signal, as I told you, on x-axis there is a time and on y-axis there is an amplitude. So that's why generally the signal is varying with respect to time. Okay, so here when the independent variable is time, then the discrete signal is called discrete time signal. Now, discrete time signal are also defined by only at discrete time, and for this signal, the independent variable takes on only a discrete set of value. Okay, the discrete set of value may be x of n is equal to in curly braces 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, so if you define in this fashion, 1 is represented at origin. Okay, and there is an equidistance between 1 and 2, 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. Okay, so they are lie on positive x-axis. Okay, example here I am giving you how you can represent how you can generate this signal with these signals. Okay. Now, initially, I tell you here generation of discrete time signal, and then later on I tell you representation of discrete time signal. Okay. So that's why here just see the slide. Now here I have given total 3 methods of generation of discrete time signal. Okay. First is generate a set of number and arrange them in a sequence. Okay. Example, as here the number 0, 2, 4, dash dash up to 2n forms a sequence of even number and can be expressed as, okay, in mathematical form it is expressed as x of n is equal to 2n. N is representing here as a 0 less than or equal to n less than or equal to capital N. Okay, the value of n is varying. Okay, so that's why if n value is 0, so that's why n value is multiplied with 2, so that's why 2 into 0, that is x of n is equal to 0. So you will get the first point, that is 0. Okay, similarly, if your value of n is 1, 2 is multiplied with n, it will becomes 2. If n value is 2, then it is multiplied with 2 into 2, it is 4. So that's why you will get a sequence that is 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 up to 2n. Getting my point? So that's why here this is a first way of generation of numbers. Okay, discrete time signal you can generate in this fashion. Now, second method I am telling you here, that is evaluation of a numerical recursion related will generate a discrete signal. Now here the expression is kept in mind. Okay, numerical expression is kept in mind, that is x of n is equal to zero point 0.2 x of n minus 1. Okay, it has a initial condition, that is x of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, it gives a sequence that x of n is equal to 0.2 raised to n. Okay, so that's why here the value of n is varying from 0 to n up to infinity. Okay, now here the expression will be built from x of n is equal to zero point 0.2 into x of in bracket n minus 1. So its resultant expression is x of n is equal to 0.2 raised to n. Okay. Now this x of n is equal to 0.2 raised to n is a expression, and from this expression now we are going to put the value of n. N value is lying between 0 less than or equal to n less than infinity. So that's why here we will vary the value of n in the next lines. Okay. Now here we will put, when n is equal to 0, you can find x of 0, okay, is equal to 1. Okay, this is a initial condition. Okay, here is equal to, it is given 0 into, means here, sorry, 0 0.2 raised to 0. Okay, value of n is putted is 0. So that's why it is 0.2 raised to 0 is 1. Okay, getting everyone this point? Now, second one point is, when n is equal to 1, now we are keeping value of n is equal to 1 in the expression. So that's why you will get x of 1 is equal to 0.2 in bracket 0.2 into x of n value is 1, 1 minus 1, okay, it will become 0. So that's why is equal to 0.2 into x into 0. Okay, its result is 0.2. Okay, so you will get 0.2 value when n is equal to 1. Similarly, when n is equal to 2, we put value of n is equal to 2. So it will becomes x of 2 is equal to zero point 0.2 x of 2 minus 1. You will get 0.2 in bracket 0.2 into x of 1. Okay, so you will get 0.2 into zero point 0.2. Now here 0.2 is a value of x of 1 that we will put here. Okay, you will get 0.2 into zero point 0.2, which will be resulted as a 0.2 raised to 2. Got it? Similarly, n is equal to 3 means x of 3 is equal to zero point 0.2 into x of 3 minus 1 is equal to zero point 0.2 into x of 2. Now value of x of 2 is zero point 0.2 raised to 2. That value we will put instead of x of 2. You will get zero point 0.2 into zero point 0.2 raised to 2. You will get zero point 0.2 raised to 3. Okay, if you put value of n is equal to 4, 5, 6, again you will get the value that is 0.2 raised to 4, 0.2 raised to 5, 0.2 raised to 6, and so on. Okay, in this way you can able to find the sequence. Okay, but for finding of this sequence you will need an expression. That expression is x of n is equal to 0.2 raised to n. Okay, and value of n will be varying between 0 to infinity. Okay, this is a way of generation of discrete time signal. Now third one method is given like this. A third method is by uniformly sampling a continuous time signal and using the amplitude of the sample to form a sequence. Now here we will consider here x of t is a continuous time signal. Okay, now if we are converting into the discrete time signal, so that's why discrete time signal is represented as a x of n into t, okay, is equal to x of t, where t is directly proportional to nt. Okay, now here the value of n is lies between minus infinity to infinity. Okay, so here t is the sampling interval. Okay, so here this expression will help you to find out the generation of discrete time signal. Okay, now second point is representation of discrete time signal. Now here we will represent the discrete time signal by total 4 ways. Okay, so all these ways I am explaining with the help of this slide. Okay, the first way of representation of discrete time signal is functional representation. It is very easier method. Huh? Now here in the right hand side you can able to see the graph, and in the center you can find a value of x of n is given in the square. Okay, now see, in this functional representation the signal is represented as a mathematical expression as shown in the following example. Now here graph is given. Okay, in this graph you can see on x-axis n is represented, and on y-axis x of n is represented. Okay, so at 0th position, okay, at x of, okay, when y of, sorry, example, sorry, when the value of x and y both are 0, okay, then it is a centroid point, and at centroid points its value is -1. At 1 its value is zero point 0.6. At 2 means when n is equal to 2 its value is 1.2. When n is equal to 3 its value is 1.5. Just observe the graph. Huh? Now if you look, when n is equal to 3, x of n is equal to 1.5. Similarly, when n is equal to -1, x of n is equal to 1, and when n is equal to -2, x of n is equal to minus 0.5. Okay, now these values that I read here, that I written it in the square. Okay, that you can look like x of n is equal to, first value is the c, from starting from left hand side to the right hand side. X of n is equal to minus 0.5 semicolon n is equal to -2, means the when n is equal to -2 the value of x of n is 0.5. As I read the graph in the same fashion, here I return all the value of x of n and n. Okay, I hope you got this. Now second one is graphical representation. Now, as shown in the graph here, as we learn, as we read these value, okay, these value are graphical, okay, so that's why this is a graphical representation, okay. So in this graphical representation, each signal is represented in the coordinate system, okay. So here in two-dimensional plane, the independent variable is represented in horizontal axis and the value of the signal is represented in vertical axis, okay. So this both these both figures, okay, that is square and graphical value, both are shown here, a graphical presentation as well as functional representation, okay. Now we put it in the table, all these values are put it in the table like a tabular presentation. So we will say it as a tabular representation. In this table, okay, here in first row n is written and second one row you can find x of n, okay. And here the dot 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 is given because here in left hand side, uh, after minus 2 up to infinity there is no value, and in right hand side after 3 up to infinity there is no value, so that's why it is represented by dot dot dot. And in between minus 3 to 3, minus 2 to 3, these values are written, means when the value of n is minus 2, its amplitude is minus 0.5. When the value of n is minus 1, its amplitude is 1. When the value of n is 1, the value amplitude is x of n is equal to minus 1. When the value of n is 1, its amplitude is x of n is equal to 0.6. When value of n is equal to 2, x of n is 1.2. When n is equal to 3, x of n is 1.5. In this fashion, you can able to write the discrete time signal in tabular representation. But remember, as per our regular study point of view, whenever we write discrete time signal, then the discrete time signal will be represented either through a graphical representation or the fourth method, that is a sequence representation. Generally whenever I give you any kind of example for solving, then the discrete time signal is represented in the sequence form. The sequence will be written like this, okay. This is the fourth point. This fourth point is sequence representation. In sequence representation, the discrete time signal is represented in a one dimensional array as shown in example, okay. I have shown in it in an example, I have given many examples, okay, because many ways we will go through in this fashion, okay. Whatever example will be given in this fashion also, okay. Now here I am giving you all these ways how you can write and how you can able to understand all this sequence representation. Now the first one point is an infinite duration discrete time signal with the time origin n is equal to 0 indicated by symbol upgoing arrow is represented as. Remember, I am showing you the signal, that is x of n is equal to curly brace dot 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 minus 0.5 comma 1.0 comma minus 1.0 comma 0.6 comma 1.2 comma 1.5 comma dot 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 curly brace end. Remember, you can see this is an infinite duration signal. In this signal, the signal is represented from minus infinity to plus infinity, okay. So minus infinity is represented by dot dot, plus infinity is represented by dot dot, and between signal, the signal between the points will be represented by
point minus zero point 0.5 to 1.5. Now, as per the graphical method, we seen there is a 0, means when n is equal to 0, that is a origin point. So that origin point is marked in this sequence representation with the help of arrow. Okay, that arrow is written, that arrow is drawn below minus 1.0. Okay, so this is a way of infinite sequence or infinite duration discrete time signal sequence representation. Now, second one point is an infinite duration discrete time signal. Okay, now here in this representation, signal is starting from its origin and end at plus infinity. Okay, so that's why here the origin point is marked as a minus 1.0 and the end point is marked as a dot dot dot. Okay, so that's why you can read this sequence like x of n is equal to curly brace minus 1.0 comma zero point 0.6 comma 1.2 comma 1.5 comma dot dot dot. Similarly, you can read it another way also. Okay, now here you can read like this also: x of n is equal to minus 1.0 comma zero point 0.6 comma 1.2 comma 1.5 comma dot dot dot. Now the difference between these two is that arrow in first arrow is given, in second arrow is not given. The arrowhead indicate it is the origin, and in second expression if arrowhead is not given, no problem, you have to consider it as a first value as a origin value. If it is not given, you remember minus 1.0 in the second one sequence is origin point, and you have to consider it as a origin, and from that origin right hand side sequence is end till infinity. Now third one sequence is a finite duration discrete time signal. Now in this sequence here you can find the finite values are represented. It means whatever the original graph that I shown you in the last slide, that graph is written. That is x of n is equal to minus zero point 0.5 comma 1 comma minus 1.0 comma zero point 0.6 comma 1.2 comma 1.5. Okay, now here arrowhead is marked over minus 1.0. Two values are in left hand side, three values are in right hand side. So that's why here our original graph will be looks like this. Okay, so that's why it is called as an finite duration discrete time signal representation. Similarly, the another way, okay, another way is like this: x of n is equal to curly brace minus 1.0 comma zero point 0.6 comma 1.2 comma 1.5. Okay, now here the arrowhead mark is shown here over the minus 1.0, and the right hand side sequence is given. Now here some here value is written by mistake like minus zero point 0.6, huh? So that's why I consider it as a zero point 0.6. Okay, so here arrowhead is marked. Okay, and in our second one expression, or x of n is equal to point minus 1.0 comma zero point 0.6 comma 1.2 and 1.5. Okay, the difference between these two is arrow is not marked in second, and arrow is marked in first. Okay, now this is a finite duration discrete time signal sequence representation. Okay, this way you can able to understand the discrete time signal. Okay, you can able to read, you can able to represent graphically, you can able to write it with the help of sequence, okay, in tabular form also. Okay, so keep it in mind. Okay, this is about the discrete time signal representation, as well as how you can able to generate the discrete time signal. Now the next one slide is showing you here the standard discrete time signal. Now here the standard discrete time signal, already we learned it on the signal and system, but again because of the new students point of view, here again I am giving you some minor review. So here remember the first signal is digital impulse signal, or you can say it is a unit sample sequence. Okay, Generally we will say it as an impulse signal. Impulse signal is represented as a del of an digital impulse signal is represented by del of n is equal to 1. Okay, when n is equal to 0, when 0, wait, you can read like this. Impulse signal you can read del of n is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0. Similarly, del of n is equal to 0 when n is not equal to 0. Okay, so here it is graphically represented as the digital impulse signal is represented graphically, is very near. Okay, so here you can see on x-axis n is represented, and on y-axis del of n is represented. Okay, and at origin 0 is written and its value is 1. Okay, its amplitude is 1. Okay, and all other value of n, it is 0. Okay, so that's why we will prepare the mathematical expression is del of n is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0, del of n is equal to 0 when n is not equal to 0. Getting this point? Now
Second one is unit step signal. Now, unit step signal means here the value of a signal is unity from origin to positive infinity. Remember, from origin to positive infinity. So it is represented as unit step signal is represented as u of n, and its value is 1 when n is greater than or equal to 0. Remember, as I told you the definition of unit step signal, in the same fashion here the mathematical expression is written u of n is equal to 1 when n is greater than or equal to 0. But u of n is equal to 0 when n is less than 0, means from left hand side, uh, -1 to minus infinity, its value is 0. Okay, now it is shown graphically in the right topmost corner. You can see unit step signal. In that I represented it, on x-axis there is n, n value is written 0 1 2 3 4 5, and on y-axis there is u of n and it is marked as a 1. Okay, so that's why each time as n varies, u of n is 1 and it is constant. Okay, so that's why as per the definition of unit step signal, u of n is equal to 1 when n is greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so this is about the unit step signal. Third one is ramp. Ramp means here it is continuous increasing signal. Okay, so that's why here the continuous increasing signal from origin to the infinity is represented by ur of n. Okay, and it is mathematically represented as a ur of n is equal to n when n is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, means when the value of n is 0, okay, ur of n is 0. When the value of n is 1, ur of n is 1. When the value of n is 2, ur of n is 2. So and so on. The side graph is showing you the ramp signal. Okay, in this ramp signal you can find on x-axis there is n and on y-axis there is a ur of n. Okay, here each time as the value of n is varying from 0 to n is equal to 5, then the value of ur of n is varying like 0 1 2 3 4 5. So that's why it is called as an ramp signal. Then fourth is exponential signal. Now here exponential signal is represented by g of n, g of n. Okay, so that's why here mathematical expression will be written like this: g of n is equal to a raised to n when n is greater than
or equal to 0. G of n is equal to 0 when n is less than 0. Okay. Now here the exponential signal will be decreasing or increasing. So both graph are shown here. Okay. The decreasing exponential signal shows from origin to n is equal to infinity, and the increasing exponential signal is shown from 0 to infinity. But the difference is each time g of n is decreasing in terms of decreasing exponent signal, and in terms of increasing exponent signal it is increasing. Okay, so that's why here mathematically it is represented as a g of n is equal to a raised to n. Okay, in terms of decreasing exponential signal, the value of a will be lies between 0 less than a less than 1, and in terms of increasing exponential signal, always the value of a is greater than 1. Okay, so here this is about the exponential signal. Now the next one signal is discrete time sinusoidal signal. Now the discrete time sinusoidal signal is represented like this. Okay, the discrete time signal sinusoidal signal is written as x of n is equal to a cos omega 0 n plus theta. Here the value of n will be lying between minus infinity to infinity. Similarly, you can represent a sinusoidal signal x of n is equal to a into sine omega 0 n plus theta. Again, the value of n is lying between minus infinity to infinity. Now here cos represent a cosine signal, sine represent a sinusoidal signal. Okay, so that's why both signal are shown in wave form. Okay, if you look the bottom side diagram, okay, bottom side graph, you can see discrete time sinusoidal signal is represented by equation, okay, x of n is equal to a cos omega 0 n, and the sinusoidal signal is represented by a second one figure. Okay, and here the discrete time sinusoidal signal is represented by third one expression, that is x of n is equal to a cos pi by 6 n plus pi by 3. Okay, here the value of omega 0 is pi by 6 and the value of theta is pi by 3. Okay, so here you can represent the discrete time sinusoidal signal. Here omega 0 is frequency in radian per sample, theta is representing phase in radian, and frequency f0, or you can say angular frequency, f0 is equal to omega 0 upon 2 pi, or omega 0 is equal to f0 into 2 pi. Okay, you can say anything. Okay, now here it is called frequency in cycles per sample. Okay, now again the last one signal is discrete time complex exponential signal. Okay, so discrete time complex exponential signal is represented by a mathematical expression is x of n is equal to a raised to n e raised to j omega 0 n plus theta is equal to a raised to n cos. Now here e raised to j carries cosine as well as sine term, that will be represented by a raised to n cos omega 0 n plus theta plus j sine omega 0 n plus theta. Okay, now if you deduce this expression, you will get, sorry, if you solve this expression, you will get a raised to n cos omega 0 n plus theta plus j a raised to n sine omega 0 n plus theta. Okay, now here we will represent these terms as x of n and x of r and x of I, means we write in real and imaginary part. Okay, real part is represented as a x of r of x r of n, and imaginary part is represented as a xi of n. Okay, So real part of x of n is written as a raised to n cos omega 0 n plus theta, and imaginary part of x of n is written as a raised to n sine omega 0 n plus theta. Okay, and graphically it is represented like this. Okay, two graphs are shown like this. First one graph is showing you here discrete time sequence represented by the expression that is cos. Okay, here cosine term is present. Okay, so that's why xr of n is equal to a raised to n cos of omega 0 n, and second one term is xr of n a raised to n cos omega 0 n. Now here the value of a will be lies between when a is less than when the value of a is lies between 0 and 1, then the first graph is representing. Okay, and value of a is greater than 1, then the second one graph is represented. Okay, so here this ends your discrete time complex exponential signal. Okay, and the imaginary part will be looks like this. Okay, so that's why the imaginary part will be represented as these two graphs. Okay, now for this time we stop, we continue for the next one lecture.